Thank you for subscribing to our channel. Today is Friday, April 16, 2021. Al Jazeera report. It is really bad. Nigerians go hungry as food inflation soars. Nigerian merchant Fayintola Bolaji, struggling with stagnant earnings and dwindling sales, is now being squeezed by the ever-increasing prices demanded by her food suppliers, leading her to cut down on the amount she can put on her own family's table. Bolaji's belt-tightening is being shared by millions across Africa's most populous nation. Not long after Nigeria's statistics agency revealed that 1 in 3 people in the continent's largest economy were unemployed, on Thursday it announced that food inflation has accelerated at the highest pace in 15 years, compounding the misery of many households.
Deutsche Welle report. U.S. President Joe Biden hosts Japanese PM for first White House meeting. U.S. President Joe Biden met with Japanese Prime Minister Yoshihide Suga at the White House on Friday, as the Biden administration seeks to strengthen its alliances in the Asia-Pacific to counter Chinese influence in the region. It is Biden's first in-person meeting with a foreign leader since he became president in January. Our approach to China and our shared coordination and cooperation on that front will be part of the discussion, White House spokesperson Jen Psaki said ahead of the meeting.
Fox report. Adam Toledo shooting. Video release leaves family, community reeling as authorities continue to investigate. The Chicago community and family members of 13-year-old Adam Toledo are reeling after the release of police footage and other materials related to the March shooting of the boy, who was fatally wounded by an officer responding to a report of shots fired in the area. Toledo's family asked the public for peace in a statement released through attorneys on Friday, just one day after Chicago's Civilian Office of Police Accountability, COPA, released several videos, 911 calls and information connected with the March 29 shooting.
Fox report. Raúl Castro resigning from post as leader of nation's Communist Party. Cuban dictator Raúl Castro said on Friday that he was resigning, opening the way to Cubans not being ruled by a Castro for the first time in 6 decades. While he didn't say who would succeed him as first secretary of the Communist Party, he's thought to favor 60-year-old Miguel Díaz-Canel, who succeeded him as president in 2018. His brother Fidel ruled the small nation beginning with the 1959 revolution and ending in April of 2011 when Raúl took his place.
Fox report. Iran starts enriching uranium to 60%, its highest level ever. Dubai. United Arab Emirates. Iran began enriching uranium Friday to its highest level ever, edging closer to weapons-grade levels to pressure talks in Vienna aimed at restoring its nuclear deal with world powers after an attack on its main atomic site. A top official said only a few grams an hour of uranium gas would be enriched up to 60% purity, triple the level it once did but at a rate far slower than what Tehran could produce.
BBC report. Biden keeps historically low Trump-era cap on refugees. The maximum number allowed in will be 15,000. A number set by Mr. Biden's predecessor as president, Donald Trump. Just 2 months ago President Biden put forward a plan which would raise the ceiling to 62,500. Reports say he is concerned about the optics of letting in more people amid an influx at the U.S.-Mexico border. On Friday, Mr. Biden signed an order designed to speed up refugee admissions to the U.S. Since October just over 2,000 have been admitted.
CNN report. Inflation is coming, the question is when. The stock market is soaring and bond yields have pulled back after a big spike earlier this year. But make no mistake, investors still have plenty to fret about when it comes to the threat of inflation. The U.S. economy is rebounding thanks to stimulus and COVID-19 vaccines. Retail sales went through the roof in March. The housing market roared back to life and the number of people filing for unemployment claims plunged last week.
BBC report. COVID. Canada sounds the alarm as cases overtake U.S. A panel of experts say infections in Ontario could increase by 600% by June if public health measures are weak and vaccination rates do not pick up. About 22% of Canadians have now received a first vaccine dose. The public health experts advising the Ontario government say a stay-at-home order is needed for at least 6 weeks, with vaccinations running at 100,000 a day, if the current wave of COVID is to be brought under control.
Deutsche Welle report. Russia expels U.S. and Polish diplomats over sanctions. Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov on Friday announced that Russia would expel 10 U.S. and 3 Polish diplomats in retaliation for them having respectively expelled 10 and 3 Russian diplomats on Thursday. Lavrov also noted that 8 U.S. officials had been added to Russia's sanctions lists and that Moscow would take moves to limit the activity of U.S. non-governmental organizations, NGOs, that it says are interfering in Russian politics.
Deutsche Welle report. Germany, France, Ukraine urge Russia to withdraw troops. The leaders of Germany, France and Ukraine, after holding a video conference on Friday, urged Russia to withdraw the additional troops it has amassed on its border with Ukraine and in occupied Crimea over recent weeks. German Chancellor Angela Merkel, French President Emmanuel Macron and Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky shared concern over the military buildup. The Chancellery in Berlin said in a statement, adding, "They demanded the withdrawal of these reinforcements to reach a de-escalation."
Fox report. Ohio man with AK-47 arrested in Times Square subway station. An Ohio man with an AK-47 was arrested Friday in a busy New York City subway station, police said. The 18-year-old was approached by a transit officer around 12:30 p.m. in Times Square's Port Authority bus terminal station on the mezzanine level of the A, C, and E train lines, the New York Police Department said. The New York Post reported he was charging his cell phone on the platform with a weapon in plain view when the officer saw him.
CNN report. Hong Kong court jails Jimmy Lai and other prominent activists for 8 to 18 months over 2019 protest. A Hong Kong court has sentenced several of the city's leading pro-democracy campaigners to between 8 and 18 months in prison over their roles in unauthorized assemblies at the height of the 2019 protests. Among those sentenced was Jimmy Lai, 72, who founded the pro-democracy Apple daily newspaper. Lai received 14 months in prison for his involvement in 2 protests on August 18 and 31, 2019. Also jailed for taking part in both events was Lee Chuk-yan, a 64-year-old former lawmaker and veteran pro-democracy activist, who received a total of 14 months in prison.
Al Jazeera report. UN Security Council approves ceasefire monitors for Libya. The United Nations Security Council has given the green light for the deployment of 60 UN ceasefire monitors to Libya and called on the country's new unity government to prepare for free, fair and inclusive elections on December 24. A ceasefire in Libya has held since October, but the main road across the front lines from Sirte to Misrata remains closed. On Friday, the Security Council unanimously approved Secretary-General Antonio Guterres' proposal for the deployment of the monitors.
CNN report. Democratic congressman calls on Justice Stephen Breyer to retire. Democratic Rep. Mondaire Jones on Friday said Supreme Court Justice Stephen Breyer should retire this summer, becoming the first congressional member to publicly call for the 82-year-old justice to step down. There's no question that Justice Breyer, for whom I have great respect, should retire at the end of this term, the New York Democrat told Cheddar News in an interview when asked if Breyer should end his tenure while Joe Biden is president.
Al Jazeera report. The AstraZeneca jab and the price of fragmented decision-making. Elena Hugani was sure about one thing as she entered a COVID-19 vaccination center in the Italian city of Palermo last week. She was not going to allow to be injected with the AstraZeneca vaccine. Sure enough, when a healthcare worker approached her with a shot of the jab developed by the Anglo-Swedish pharmaceutical giant in the University of Oxford, the 75-year-old stood firm to her conviction. With Hugani refusing to leave, a doctor finally relented after 4 hours and gave her a shot of the Moderna vaccine.
BBC report. Breonna Taylor publisher refuses to distribute police officer's book. Jonathan Mattingly, who was shot in the leg during a raid on Ms. Taylor's home last year, is writing a book telling his version of what happened. Her killing spurred Black Lives Matter protests across the U.S. after an online backlash. Simon & Schuster said it would not distribute the book on behalf of its publisher. More than 20,000 people signed a petition calling on Simon & Schuster, which has a deal to distribute Post Hill Press's books, to cancel arrangements to distribute the title.
CNN report. How to watch Prince Philip's funeral. Millions of people around the world are expected to tune into Prince Philip's funeral service on Saturday. which will be broadcast by major television networks and streamed online. The service honoring the Duke of Edinburgh will begin at 3 p.m. local time, 10 a.m. ET, in St. George's Chapel, Windsor, with a national minute of silence, according to a statement from Buckingham Palace. The Queen and members of the royal family will take part in the event, with attendance limited to 30 because of coronavirus restrictions.
Thank you for watching 5 p.m. recap. To be notified, you can subscribe our channel and activate the bell.